Melanie Griffith arrives on Miami Vice to scramble Crockett's brains with hormones. By Hook or by Crook was written by John Schulian from a story idea by Dick Wolf, who a few years after this would write a Law & Order episode entitled By Hook or by Crook, because once you find a sturdy and reliable pun about hookers, you want to get all the mileage you can out of it. This episode was directed by series star Don Johnson, who also directed Season 2's Back in the World. On a glamorous party on a yacht set to 30,000 feet by broken homes, Crockett, undercover as brunette, romances a beautiful blonde woman named Christine von Marburg, who is played by Melanie Griffith, who is Don Johnson's ex-wife and who is also very famous for Working Girl, Body Double, and many other films. Johnson and Griffith were married briefly in 1976, but had been long divorced by the time this episode aired in 1987. They'd get married again in 1989, which would last until 1996, which is when Melanie left him for Antonio Banderas. Melanie Griffith is a force to be reckoned with. Crockett and Christine have a final time chatting each other up until Tubbs drags Crockett away to, do his job or whatever. They're tailing a crooked businessman and money launderer named Symington, who attended the party with a beautiful young woman named Ali, who is played by Prince's protege Vanity, lead singer of the R&B trio Vanity 6. Symington and Ali arrive at a high-rise and head up to his apartment, where a pair of burly thugs lie in wait for them. One of the thugs throws Symington over the balcony, where he splats on the sidewalk next to Crockett and Tubbs. The thug goes after Ali, but she runs to the elevator and escapes. The thugs, by the way, are played by a pair of World Wrestling Federation stars. Captain Lou Albano, also known for his starring roles in several Cyndi Lauper videos, and Afa Anoai, part of the tag team The Wild Samoans. The henchmen visit their boss, a corrupt businessman named Kenneth Togaru, who is played by author, activist, social media star, and Star Trek legend George Takei. He orders them to track down and kill Ali. Crockett and Tubbs try to track down Ali to see if she knows anything about Symington's murder. They interview the host of the party on the yacht, who is played by Veronica Cartwright of Alien. While Lovato, by saxophone artist Bill Bergman, plays, she tells them Ali is a model and gives them the address of a boudoir photographer Ali had worked with, who just so happens to be Izzy, running yet another of his highly entertaining scams. Izzy gives them Ali's home address. When Crockett and Tubbs drop by, they find that she's cleared out. Unrelated to the current case, Crockett tracks down Christine and asks her out for dinner. Sparks fly, but they're both suspiciously cagey about what they each do for a living. Crockett goes back to Christine's apartment, but she leaves them at the door because Ali, who seems to be a close friend, is hiding out at her place. Togaru's burly henchmen rough up Izzy, searching for Ali. After they leave, Izzy summons Crockett and Tubbs and confesses that Ali is a sex worker for the Caprice escort service. Christine needs a little privacy so she can properly sex up Crockett, so Ali moves out of her apartment, and Crockett and Christine shag like beautiful rabbits. Ali returns to her own place and is promptly murdered by the henchmen, to split decision by Steve Winwood. Tubbs and Crockett head to the Caprice escort service and chat about Ali with a phone sex operator who is played by Janet Constable, who played Crockett's murdered ex-girlfriend Barbara Caro way back in Season 1's One-Eyed Jack. They learn nothing important from her, so Crockett decides to pop in to see Christine, who just so happens to have her offices in the same building. Christine is a highly successful entrepreneur who's just received a prestigious award from the Miami Chamber of Commerce. Crockett and Christine have another romantic evening. Later, Christine appears on a talk show hosted by real-life talk show host Bill Boggs. On live television, he exposes her secret life as a madam who runs the Caprice escort service. Crockett is flabbergasted by this development. Vice brings Christine in for questioning in connection with Symington's murder. Symington, who laundered money for Kenneth Togaru, was a frequent client of her service. Crockett meets with Christine in the interrogation room. She's stunned to discover he's a cop. She tells him Symington was skimming Togaru's money, which is why Togaru had him killed. Togaru is Christine's corporate mentor and friend, but she agrees to set up a meeting between Togaru and Crockett and Tubbs as Burnett and Cooper. Notice how the interrogation room scene is filmed with Crockett and Christine each isolated in a long shot at opposite ends of the room, telegraphing their new emotional distance from each other after they've been so intimate for most of the episode. It's a small thing, and you could even say it's a little obvious, but in the 80s it wasn't at all usual for television to use cinematic techniques. With the dawn of prestige television, it's now become commonplace, but at the time, Miami Vice was relatively rare in the way it would use cinematography to help tell the story. Christine meets with Togaru, and while Crockett eavesdrops on a listening device, she tells him Burnett and Cooper can launder his money in Symington's absence. Togaru, who has long been in love with Christine, asks for sex in exchange for agreeing to the deal, and Christine reluctantly agrees. Crockett and Tubbs show up at Togaru's house house to finalize their agreement. Tagaru figures out they're cops and tries to kill them. Crockett and Tubbs take out the henchmen, and Christine shoots and kills Tagaru to protect Crockett. With her record clear but her reputation ruined, Christine leaves town after saying goodbye to Crockett on his boat while Holding Back the Years by Simply Red plays. Miami Vice is always good when it goes a little bit tawdry, and this episode is pretty delightfully tawdry. Melanie Griffith is perfect as Christine, who is pretty clearly based on Sydney Biddle Barrows, aka the Mayflower Madam, an impeccably pedigreed young woman who in the early 80s ran a string of high-class escorts out of an apartment on the Upper West Side. Crockett and Christine have scorching chemistry together, and they're both so gosh darn attractive that their scenes together are a delight to watch. George Takei oozes with sinister civility in his relatively brief but crucial role as Kenneth Tagaru, and all the other details in this one are just right, so I'm giving it 4 flamingos. Next time, Crockett and Tubbs get swept up in a raid by phony DEA agents. Please subscribe to my channel or find me on Twitter to discuss Miami Vice, and I will meet you back here then. Goodbye.